Добрый день, уважаемые дамы и господа. Прошу внимания.
Good afternoon, dear ladies and gentlemen. We are starting now the second session at this Congress, and it is dedicated to agricultural business and processing of agricultural products and opportunities for SME sector in this area. I'm the chief editor of AgroInvest magazine. I'm moderating this service, and I would like to thank the host for giving us the chance for us as a magazine, and me, the chief editor, to participate in this global and exciting project. And as the industry representative, I am so happy that we have found a slot for agricultural businesses to address, because even in our country and internationally it is not always very well heeded to, and these topics are very much urgent, and I believe the speakers will shed the light of some interesting angles. And Viktor Semenov is the founder of Belaya Dacha company, and he's Alexander Konovalov is the owner of agricultural farm Konovalov. And this is a very interesting niche, exciting for everybody. And our third speaker is managing director of Mash Poster at the Gash Poskitt, and he is from Great Britain, and he works directly with retail companies. I believe the keynote speakers will speak about themselves in more detail. And Guy, can you just say a few words about your business and your project?
My name is Guy Poskitt. I'm a farmer from England, Yorkshire, specialising in growing vegetables. We also grow combinable crops, wheat and barley, oilseed rape. But the uniqueness of our business is we process the vegetables and we also prepare them, and we directly serve the retailers. So as opposed to serving secondary customers, we do the whole job for the retail industry, right from the growing, the packing, the distribution, down to small packs as small as 50 grams and wagon loads as large as 30 tons. I was also the Farmer of the Year 2012 in the UK, which was a great accolade to the business. Thank you.
Спасибо, Гай.
Guy, many thanks. Viktor Semenov, the floor is yours. Belaya Dacha company has started from the collective farm Belaya Dacha, and it was a very well-known producer of this on-ground grown vegetables. And now we are a big holding, a group of companies, and we are not only producing so-called agricultural raw materials, we are also do on-farm processing, and we are leaders. We are proud of it in producing this washed and cut salads, and it's a kind of Russian bonduelle of floret. More than 90% of these goods in this market in Russia are produced by Belaya Dacha. We're exclusive supplier for the last 20 years to McDonald's, and all of vegetables there are ours, and Burger King is also our partner. We're exclusive partner of them. So, and last year we were recognized as the best supplier of McDonald's in Europe. Now, this is our progress, and it is quite steady. And we are kind of an example of all trends which happen in agricultural businesses. Alexander, your floor. I have Konovalov Alexander, the owner of a family dinner which is called Konovalovo Ecofarm in Chekovsky region of Moscow. area, and we are first in Russia to create a vertically integrated agricultural complex where we produce vegetables, we pack it, we process it, we deliver it to the end user, and we use our own chain of outlets to do so. And we have also set up a number of partners, network of partners in all corners of Russia and even 12 foreign countries. So we are quite active in the market, and our products are environmentally safe, and this the interest to such products is growing, and we see a big number of people who are also interested in agricultural vacations. They come to certain places where there is infrastructure for having good time in the agricultural area. And I believe that agricultural products is a very topical issue for Russia, and the organizers of this Congress, they just perceive that there is a very significant trend in the market. And as a moderator, I will just dwell on this topic. The question is that we are at the brink to coming to new methods of getting added value by processing the agricultural goods, and we are now becoming more and more independent from different suppliers of agriculture. And there were some quotas for poultry and the pork for foreign producers, and recently we had a lot of these greenhouse facilities, and Belaya Dacha is the main player in this industry. And we're quite fortunately, we are independent in many things in our supply, our own production, but we sometimes become get rid of any competition and say, with the poultry, and we sell this the poultry ourselves, and now we see that this absence of competition kind of leads to some negative effects, and then people also need not only this the poultry as a whole piece, but we're processed products, and the state is also eager to invest significantly in agriculture. 7 trillion rubles for the last 14 years were invested from the federal budget in the development of agriculture, and large businesses in agriculture have a shift into on-farm processing, logistics, and creating networks or chains of outlets, and I believe we have a lot things to learn from our partners in Great Britain. I believe it is quite timely to address this issue, and we have a soft spot there. We can produce, but still we are weak in processing them, and we would like to make from the raw materials from we need to produce more added value from sugar beet, for example, and from in meat industry we can earn much more and increase the margin. And the first issue is this typical issues in agricultural processing. Maybe you can say a few words now, Victor, what is happening in the area of processing. And Nikolay, you are right in defining this tendency, and it is actually strives to increase margin, but you can increase margin only by adding processing and have direct supplies. And a colleague from Yorkshire, he knows how solid it is to when you pack yourself and you supply directly to these chains, and it is not just selling the raw materials to other suppliers, and the margin will be quite different. But we cannot do it just replicating one experience in every area. Business has many options to develop. Our company today, we gave up, say, the production of raw materials ourselves, because physically we cannot do it. The way I can give you one figure. In 50 Russian regions, in 9 countries, we produce our products. We don't buy it in the market, but we have certain farms at certain time period. They produce, say, salads, and every day we know how we grow it in advance. You seed it in advance, and you crop it. So it's like manufacturing. It is in kind of components of your production. Well, you can put it so, and I believe it is absolutely correct if the business, which becomes larger, which can outsource as much as possible, because initially we knew that we can do it ourselves, and we do it well, and we had some jealousy to some people. How can we give it to somebody else to grow? But then we understood that we can organize business appropriately. And when we have this seeding and harvesting every day in 50 regions, you cannot control it everywhere. And you need to grow it there where the costs are the lowest. And in this particular months, when the soil is good and the climate is suitable and some other factors are taken into account, and you need to do it in such a way that every day you have supplies, not from one place, but from at least 2 or 3, because somewhere there would be a snow or a rain, some other force majeure, or current quarantine is introduced. So, but we are obligated to supply daily to our catering companies and chains. And if we don't supply it, not only we have some image problems, there will be economic consequences. Therefore, we are kind of launching, triggering mechanism for dozens of farms, to many farms. And you can say, you see, he abandoned agriculture. No, we stay there. But we stay there as a model producers, where farmers are not ready to invest so much in a particular production, or qualification is not enough. And we maintain training facilities there. But those things which those farmers with whom we work side by side for 20 years demonstrates that the farmers are happy with us. And there are some farmers which work only for us by 80 or 90%, and 10 15% they have some, access for the local market. And I believe this is the correct way of developments, and I believe that we could not develop so quickly if we haven't chosen this way of technological approach and in other areas related to logistics. And if you take Belaya Dacha.
Before we used to have 150 vehicles or 300 tractors. Now we don't have our own fleet. Even our general manager moves around on his own car. Our company, Neil, doesn't operate a single car now. So that might create some problems. But nevertheless, more than 100 trucks are transporting our products a day. More than 100 runs. And now we are thinking about setting up our own transportation company, because we are in a situation when we have outsourced everything. But it might be good to set up a business of your own to retain some power over that. There is no ready-made recommendations for this. So if we are doing it this way, you should not necessarily follow us, because we're all in specific situations. Yes, there are no ready-made recipes, but there is business experience which we can share and which we can use. You just mentioned that everything which can be outsourced should be outsourced. I would say that this is not a completely Russian business pattern, but that this is quite professional. Is there something that you should not outsource at all? Do not outsource your brand. In Russia, we have franchising experience and quite extensive experience. However, it is very exclusive and very rare experience. Take a look at McDonald's, for example. They have worked in the Russian market for over 20 years, and only now they started to explore the feasibility of franchising. They have started to do business on franchising basis. So we do not have an elaborate partnership culture. There is a lack of these principles. So you have to work very carefully in this area. And for now, we are not planning to move in that direction because we bear sole responsibility for the quality of our products. We will be solely responsible for that. So you left agricultural business, so it's quite symptomatic that the former agricultural minister leaves agricultural business. No. I was a minister of agriculture and food, so I have remained in my sector. But I wanted to ask you a different question. So you have sold off your agricultural assets. I remember when we visited your greenhouses, and I remember when you had pig farms. So there were pigs being grown near Mukad Circle Road. Do you still retain some minor agricultural assets, probably you personally or your family, or you are planning to go back into this business? Yes, we are retaining some agricultural assets at the moment, and we are planning to develop them. We have an itch to develop one of the projects. We are trying to use Japanese, Canadian, and Italian experience, and so we bring this experience into Russian soil. And in Kislovodsk, you probably don't know about that, but that's a very unique place in terms of its natural conditions. That's the only area in Russia with the 7th light zone, let's say, because in winter it has as much light as in the south of Italy or in the south of Turkey. You mean south of Italy? Well, yes, south of Italy, because in summer there is enough sunlight everywhere, but there is a problem with growing these things in winter. So in Kislovodsk, there are 326 days of sunlight a year, and we are planning to construct a unique greenhouse facility there. A single farmer will not be able to invest that much, and because it is very technology intensive and very finance intensive exercise. We have been collecting this experience for decades, and now we are trying to make it our keynote project. And then I'm not going to have 100% ownership of this thing in future. I just want to test this technology. And these baby leaves like rucola and other types of salads, there is no experience of growing them in Russia. We have started doing it, but if you grow them in greenhouses, then you will always you will face higher quality products from Italy, and they will be cheaper than those grown in Russia. But now we are trying to test the technology in which we can grow these salads all year round, and it will be cheaper, and the quality will be comparable with Italian products. And those salads will be, in fact, more fresh delivered to the customer. We'll use unique coating for the roofs of our greenhouses, and that coating lets ultraviolet rays go through it. So we'll test this technology, and the next stage will be providing training to farmers, not only in Kislovodsk. I'm sure we'll set up similar centers in Siberia. We're planning one now in Novosibirsk. We will not be investing ourselves into this facility, but we are eager to train a big farmer and hand this technology into him. This is what I mean when I say outsourcing. And I'll give you another example. those land that we used, the land that we used to have for greenhouse facilities. We built logistics terminals there because we couldn't, for natural reasons, we couldn't use this land. And now we have 150,000 square meters of A-class warehouses. Do you know how many people work there? One person, just the general manager. That's it. The accounting service is outsourced. Cleaning is outsourced. Power utilities are outsourced. Maintenance and everything is fully outsourced. There is only a general manager who is charged with the responsibility of collecting rent from tenants, and everything else is controlled on the basis of SLAs with contractors. That was a very successful project, and European Bank for Reconstruction and Development said that even in Europe, we have rarely seen that much increase in capital as in this project. So we are currently involved in 3 more projects with European Bank of Research and Development. And as far as I understand, you're the co-owner of these companies. Yes, but these are standalone companies. Alexander, as far as I understand, you specialize not on processing, but on producing fresh products and on providing tourist services as well. So is the topic of processing is acute for you? Is this issue important? Or it's not topical? This is not your profile? Yes, but we see it as a kind of a new approach because we face the need to process products which are, well, perishable products. For example, our products live like dairy products, live from 1 to 3 days. So we had to prepare and set up completely different logistics structure, and we had to set up our relationship with retailers in a completely different way. So we had to introduce all these standards and all these new ways, and people are interested, very much interested in what we are doing. So we have prepared, we have set up a training center on the basis of our farm. We have seminars, we have training courses and training sessions for those who want to run their own eco-farming business. And now we have already prepared an offer to businessmen in the areas of Russia. And this offer is about setting up an agricultural facilities, so we can provide consulting and management service. We can set it up for you, and we will even provide you with a retail option. So it's like franchising. Yes, two shops out of 3 operating shops are based on franchising option. But you are not planning to get fully involved into processing. Not really, no. We have a processing facility, but it is about processing dairy products. What do you produce? We produce all sorts of dairy products, meat products as well. Plus to that, we produce seasonal vegetables, and so we do pickled vegetables. Who is your main customer? Our main customer are those people who live in gated communities in our area, and we are also signing contracts. We've just signed a contract recently with Honka. So we will be supplying food to the inhabitants of their gated community. And you're using your own brand. Yes, I think it's the right way to do it. You create your own brand and you provide super fresh products. That's the right business model. And you are providing products not for middle class, but upper middle class range. Yes, so we are providing products to people who have enough income. Like, for example, a liter of milk, cow milk, costs 150 rubles, including delivery. How about goat milk? It is even more expensive. So we're also working with the companies who provide ecological or environmental certification. They come up with very rigid standards which must be observed. How come you went into this business? How did you end up doing what you are doing? There was time when I was involved into big business with Mr. Dovgan, and we have set up several companies, and these companies are still operating. 15 years ago, my first granddaughter was born, and I realized that I need to source safe and natural products for her. There was no place to buy these things, and so we decided to set up a farm. And in the course of setting up a farm, we've developed a full-scale business idea. And this business will only work when you have a complete chain in your hand, or complete idea from the point of production to the point of selling it to the end customer. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Guy. I would like to give you an opportunity to comment on that. And as far as I understand, your business is about production of agricultural products. You mostly produce carrots, but you also process your own products. So this operational chain that Alexander mentioned, you had it from the very beginning when you set up your business, right? Because in Russia, our business model is slightly different. First, we try to grow something, then sell it. Then if you don't succeed in selling it, then we start to build this processing chain and processing facilities. We start contacting retailers directly. As far as I understand, in your case, that business model was there from the very beginning, and you carry on doing it.
No, not at all. Really, probably quite a few years ago now, we were trading directly with the markets and not having any end user customers, any retail customers, and we looked at our business and thought, if we don't start and trade into the retail sector and give a complete package, we wouldn't have a sustainable business in the future. So probably about 15 years ago now, we started dealing directly with the big retailers, and we built our business really looking how they look after their customers, looking at what customers want, and particularly where we live, people are wanting more and more convenience, and we've tried to trade into that. It's interesting to say that Victor has tried to increase the margin by being a direct supply. Probably with us, we've had to do that because our customers have reduced our margins, so we've had to make sure we've taken all the loops out of the chain, out of the supply chain, to reduce our cost. And of course, it's given our customers a fresher product. The challenges we've got as a grower, as a business has got bigger, we've had to bring other growers into our business because very much like Victor, we no longer can supply all we need. We no longer can control it on a small scale. So we've had to look at other partners within our business. And sometimes we've done joint venture projects with these farmers where they do the good bit, the farming, what they're good at, and then we help them process their product and market the product for them. Okay?
You said that your margin was going down, and you started thinking about reducing cost, and you started looking into the direct contacts with retail. But why has the margin actually went down? Was it because of the financial crisis or the saturation of the market? What was the reason for it?
I think the market's quite saturated, and you know we've learnt a lot from the discounters and how the discounters operate, and we consistently seem to be doing more for less. We seem to be doing more volume for less money, so we need to get smarter and smarter at what we do all the time. And we've done this not only by, for example, with our carrot business, although we grow other vegetables. The great thing about our prepared business is we're using some of the crop that probably isn't the standard we want to do for retail, but once you've processed it and taken out the broken bits and things like that, you can make a really good product, a salad product, maybe grate a carrot, put it into a salad bowl or something like that. So we've tried to integrate that, and also we've then gone to our main customers and tried to encourage them to get their suppliers of probably bag salad, for example, to use our carrots. So it's given us, may enable us to utilise our crop and make us more efficient. You know, we are continually squeezed on margin. Particularly, I think at the moment in the UK, we're seeing an awful lot of pressure from the discounters. Aldi and Lidl are bringing a lot of pressure to the market in the UK in how they operate, and that's put a big squeeze on the bigger retailers. And I think we'll see more of a change in the next year or two, with the discounters taking quite a lot of the market from the big four retailers.
Николай, а можно задать вопрос
Да,
коллеге?
пожалуйста, конечно.
May I ask a question? Yes. Dear Mr. Poskitt, relationship with retail chains is a topical issue for us. We know that they have tremendous purchasing power, and I believe that you face similar, issues in relationship with retailers. So my question to you is, payment for supplied products. I understand you are operating sort of perishable products. What are the payment terms for your supplies?
We've got quite good payment terms. Our main customer pays us in 28 days. We have some customers on 90 days, but the payment isn't the big challenge really, because so long as they stay within those terms. The biggest challenge we've got with our retail customers is trying to get a long-term business, not something that's tendered on a yearly basis or 6 monthly basis, because farming and growing is a long-term project, a lot of investments, and if we want to get smart at what we do and we want to invest in our business, we've got to get longer-term deals with our customers to give us the security to go to the banks, borrow the money and purchase the latest technology to deliver the freshest, best value product for our customers.
Ну, я хотел бы сказать, что
Just wanted to say that we also have positive experience in relationship with retailers and retailing chains, and recently a law was passed that regulates relationship between big retailers and their suppliers. So this law is not fully operational at the moment, especially when it relates to bonuses and which retailers like to attach to our contracts. But however, this law works quite well when it regulates terms of payments for perishable products like dairy products, for example, or eggs, so that sort of products. Because in our country, this law stipulates the payment for these products should be made within 14 days from the delivery dates, and as we have to pay higher interest on the credit than in Europe. So it is very important to have right payment terms. So this is why it is more important than it is for you. I also wanted to give you one example about relationships with networks and retail chains. Victor has a point. There are serious limitations which block our path to big retail chains. We have recently signed a contract with Lukoil, and we started to supply our products to Lukoil refueling stations. So there is demand for our products, and the retail owners, they ask us for our products. Well, my point is that if there is a will, there is a way. But you only have this as a pilot project. There are only 2 refueling stations working like this. Yes, we agreed that, but we agreed to expand the scope of this project. I understand your interest in it, but why is Lukoil interested? Because those people who live in Novorishskaya highway, they are asking questions why Lukoil is not in its shop selling these natural products. So the margin of your sales through your direct sales channels and the margin of working with Lukoil, are they different? We are selling it at the unified, at the single price. But with Lukoil, we face smaller margins. But it is important for us that people have an opportunity to buy our products. What's your operational margin? 35%. That's average.
Guy, can you tell us, can you work in a group?
Или ты...
Can you work in Great Britain with a margin of 35%, or it is a dream? Can you work in Britain having a margin of 35%?
Sure about that. Yes, a big dream. Yes, single-digit margin would be my. But back to Victor's, a little comment that was quite interesting because in the UK we also have just now got what we call a supermarket adjudicator, and that ensures that we get the supermarkets can't go back on the deal they've agreed. So if we want to agree going forward a rebate of 5% or whatever, that's fine, but they can't change the rules once you've made the deal, because in the past there's been a few issues where some big retailers have come onto suppliers asking for huge amounts of money at the end of the financial year. But 35% I could probably afford to give a bit of money back.
Но дело в том, что действительно наш бизнес.
You know, our business is highly marginal, and it is not just intensive agricultural production. So I wish we are partners in this niche. This is the way we find partners. I can say that not everybody is so successful in Russia. Don't have this illusion. In Russian agriculture, 35% in margin is unheard of. But your market is more level, more homogeneous. But we still have leaders like Alexander who grabbed his niche, and he has no competition. Therefore, he can allow, with low costs of production and very high quality, unusually high quality of his products, get this margin. But generally, 35% for Russia is also a kind of unheard of. Russia would be a different country if it would be a common case. It's not a general trend. But probably more capital will go to offshore jurisdictions, but this is not what we will debate today. Margin rate, it's important thing, but we need to focus on processing and then see what kind of profit we get, because sometimes it is a niche business, it's marginal, and it is localized, not even in the area, but in a rayon. It is a kind of a town, it's small shell. A guy has more turnover, and he has a good turnover and good margin, and he has very promising projects ongoing. And Belaya, Dacha, what's your operational margin in vegetables? When working in such big chains like McDonald's, Burger King, KFC, and other catering companies, so a priori you cannot get a high margin, and by default, and they will just stop you at some point. But the very fact that we are exclusive McDonald's partners, it was because we are not too carried away with the idea of having a good margin. Therefore, our margin never goes above 10%. But it depends on the volume. In a group or for McDonald's, in retail you have more risk. Therefore, 10% it is for retail. For McDonald's, it's if 5%, it will be excellent for us. So you work on the stability of relations and the turnover. Yes, without McDonald's, we will not have even these products in the market, because they allowed us to improve the technology for catering. And we did only catering initially, and only then we risked to work with chains. And for 2 years we were had negative margin, and only then we grew up our customer who understood finally it is good and it is tasty. And now the market grows by 20-25% annually, and it was a kind of desert before in the market, a kind of a new area to explore. And yes, we see this double-digit growth, but where is the limit? I believe that in Russia we don't have a lot of rich people. We believe that 40% of our population live just at the level of sustainability and the nominal level. You see, the incomes do not grow, and additional salaries, income actually is then taken away by growing prices of gas and housing costs, and therefore this high margin products is a finite product, a finite resource. Here we have another tendency which is quite prominent in Russia. Our population strives to achieve a healthy style of life. Not everybody, but this tendency is obvious, it's tangible, and I can see it with regard to our products. So a growing number of people. And I recall when I just was thinking about whether I need to try the going into chains or shall not. But in Great Britain, I know that in the London suburbs, I came to some department store after several years, and I came there, and the ready products with these cut salads increased manifold, and they were even bigger in size, with just say carrots or cabbage and not convenience products. And I thought, no, it's Great Britain. They're different, but here in Russia our salaries are meager. But then I saw an old lady coming, and you obviously see she is not rich, and she buys this cut salad, packed salad. And I couldn't stand. I came to her and why are you buying it? You have enough time. You could have bought not the salad, but then just the salad, and then wash it and cut it. You are not a business lady. And she says, you are right. I have enough time. I don't have much money. I live alone. That's why I buy this salad, because I like a salad out of 4 vegetables. Can you believe that I will buy 4 pieces of those heads of cabbage, and I throw it away? But now I buy only 1 package, and it's enough for 3 days. For 3 days I have fresh salad. I thought if an old lady, a babushka in Great Britain, she understood it, then our business ladies will also grasp this idea, and it happens. It is happening, and the market, again, it is not completely covered, and it is growing, and this healthy style of life trends help us a lot. Yeah, the same, I confirm it, and we have a growing demand year on year, and last year for organic products it was $167 million, and just 2 years ago it was less than $100 million. And the tendency is in 5-6 years we will have a serious turnover. In case in our country we have a law on organic agriculture, there will be some technical regulations, there will be some register of authorized producers, and then this more people will become our customers, and therefore at the same time the costs of organic products, it will be more and more accessible for people, because now we have a disbalance. Everybody who works there can establish a price they believe it fits, and therefore they speculate. Well, how can you decrease prices? By more supply, or exactly? First of all, it will be a popular production, and there will be a lot of players, and then there will be some support from the state, subsidies, and cheaper capital, and then the price will be adequate. Now the brand also means Konovalov is a brand, Belaya Dacha is a brand. They trust us, they come and buy. But in order to have a mass tendency, you need to, in our community, in our agricultural communities, certain standards to be introduced. Now we have a kind of lawless situation. These bio-kefirs, organic products are just those who wish. They put these names on every bottle or package, and nobody limits them. But not all those bio or eco products are, as they say. And now we are coming to a point, and business community understands that we need to organize ourselves, and the state needs to help us, providing appropriate legislation to set up this federal restrictions of brands which are authorized or comply with these requirements to be called bio eco products, and then the volumes will reduce the costs of our products. Right. From our speakers and from what you said partially on the topics we discuss, we believe that quite often brand is a word as a factor. Brand is a part of your margin. Not directly, but indirectly. Brand, it's not material asset, but every company which works in retail, which processes the monoproduct, but you also you have a brand. We don't know your company because it is not present in the Russian market. But do you rely on your brand, or you release no-name products, or using some private label or whatever?
Sorry. In the UK, it's quite difficult to get a brand because you need to put an awful lot of money behind it, and the big retailers like generally to market under their label, and it is very, very hard to. We've actually put our own label into retailers, and we've put their own label, their own brand. They seem to think that customers trust the retailer's brand. It's a bit like we all trust McDonald's because we assume that McDonald's has produced that for us. However, one or two, a great friend of mine has a variety of potato called Rooster, and he has spent millions and millions of pounds promoting that variety until eventually he's got it through to the market. And then, of course, once you get the market to identify your brand, then you're not as reliant on the retailer because customers are looking for that brand, and you're slightly more in control of your marketing arm because that is what people are looking for. If you look at Kellogg's is a big brand name in the UK or all over the world on cornflakes, people look for that sort of brand. But on vegetables, we found it very, very difficult to get our brand into the big retailers. Locally, when I say locally, probably within 200-mile radius, people recognise our brand in the smaller outlets and in the food service and the restaurant trade, but in the retail trade it's not very easy.
Спасибо.
Thank you. Well, probably we have some questions from the audience to our speakers. And if somebody has a wish, we have free microphones, and you will have this chance. And it's quite democratic here. Your questions, please. I am Olga Tamarevskaya. I'm from Stavropol region, and this is an agricultural land and a very vast region in Russia. Can you name a farm, a small-scale farm, or product which are ready for our individual entrepreneurs by franchise on processing or growing certain agricultural products? Because in Stavropolsky Krai, we have black earth, you see, and we have very good products generally. Whom do you address your question? Those who can take. I can take your question. Certainly, you can come to Ecocluster company. We have prepared a model project jointly with Delaval, and we are ready to provide you a model of some small breeding farm, and every family can do it, and we have all technology worked out, and we can even help you in selling the products you can grow. And we have also this last milking robot included in our model. I can add that every year we increase the number of farmers who supply us by 7-10 7, 10 farmers added to our list, and those who wish to grow for us salads, we can provide you seeds and technology, and we'll do it for free. And we can follow the entire chain of your production, and we will set up a price, and we can guarantee that your crop will be bought. Therefore, you are most welcome. So, and in Russia, we have this kind of vertical integration. Like Cherkizovsk, where meat, it's there are some vegetable growing sector, but there is not traditional to have this family farms, because they don't have this culture of production, and they don't have motivation. You're right. Every year we get around 10 of new farmers, and in the first year 5 of them disappear, and there is only one reason behind: the culture, contractual culture. As soon as a person starts working with us, we have given, after the first crop, we agree about the price, but you know that the market of vegetables, it is very volatile. And it quite happens that a drought happens, and we agreed about the price, but the price in the market is lower. We set the price, and we can ready to pay more. But if a situation happens, for 1 or 2 weeks, the price has increased. Are you paying more? No, it is a set price. As a rule, our contract guarantees a set price for the set volume. And with some we say it will be a market price, but the farmers are eager to take a set price, so a guaranteed price. But they wish to grab these 3 pennies more right now, and we send a truck. They say, no, I sold it at some higher price to somebody else, and we say, okay, goodbye. And as a rule, he comes in 2 weeks and say, I was wrong, I apologize. After, when he sees that he lost a good market, but we are not easy in these situations. And in 20 years, when we lose these 5 farmers every year, it is not a tragedy for us. Of course, we regret people leave, but still those who stay with us, they stay for a long time, even forever. And how many partners generally you have across Russia? 58 suppliers, and every year we add 10, and 5 of them stay. Plus 5 every year. Okay. And what is their share of supply? Unfortunately, we live in a northern country, and now it's March. Only now we will start transiting from March to we will use Italian, Spanish, Danish products for 100%. Yeah, we have to import. And then we will receive vegetables from Kuban, from the Crimea, but because of this political turmoils, we gave up this idea. But the Crimea is a wonderful venue for agriculture. And then Volgograd region, then Samara, Lipetsk, and then the Moscow region, and cities, St. Petersburg. And again, we will start buying from abroad. But when we speak about baby leaves in Kislovodsk of Stavropol, they will have them round the year, and by 90%, we will leave just 10% to have some standby supplier. Maybe we will even leave, because we are developing, the scope is growing, but even without imported salads is something reminding me an illusion.
So there are things related to sanctions and threats said in business address, but I just want to say, don't try to block my path. let's take iceberg salad, for example. It is impossible to grow iceberg salad on a protected soil. If you grow it in a greenhouse, it will become very, very expensive. So it will only grow in unprotected soil. But there is no conditions for all-round farming of this salad. You can do it in Sochi, in fact, but after the Olympic Games, the prices for land there soared. So such land is not enough for us. We're trying to talk Abkhazian farmers to do this, but we haven't succeeded in it yet. They are very reluctant farmers. They think, well, salad, it's an unusual product for them. So we need to develop their culture. We need to break this mentality. And by the way, those farmers who produce rucola salad for us, I just had a meeting with one of them, and he told me we normally complain that we do not have enough margin, and he's been our supplier for 20 years, and he told me to get 1.5 million revenue from a hectare, I will only get that if I harvest marijuana. So 1.5 million from a hectare. Just imagine that. That's a revenue. So those who have 5 hectares, they can already work with us, because 5 hectares times 1.5, that's 7.5 million rubles of revenue. And we have a question.
I'm from Zimbabwe, and I run a milling company in Zimbabwe. I'm sorry to take you a little bit backwards, but I haven't heard of any farmer in Russia who's into wheat farming. But in my country, we have loads of wheat that is coming from Russia. So I'm here wanting to meet with farmers who are in Russia, in wheat production, or agents who are selling wheat to Africa. Can any of you answer me on that one?
Но по агентам я могу вам сразу...
As far as agents are concerned, you should go and ask the grain union. We have a very powerful organization that exists in the market for more than 15 years, and they have a lot of information. They will provide you with contacts, and I think Nikolay can help you. Yes, if you come up to me after the conference, we can have a talk with you. And as far as farmers are concerned, Russia is a very big country, so there is a lot of agricultural land. So if you grow wheat, you have to grow a lot of wheat, because harvesting small amount of wheat is unprofitable. So in our case, one person will be owning 5,000 hectares. So nobody is calling this guy a farmer, but in fact he's a farmer. He's just a very big farmer. In America, they are talking about small family farms. However, 80% of grain and other agricultural products are manufactured or are produced by big farmers, by industrial farms, or are produced by big industrial or agricultural corporations. So we are following down the same path. We're going down the same path. Well, we are saying this openly. Alexander, I just can't help asking you this question. For me personally, not as for the general editor of a magazine which is about investment, but I'm personally interested in your business because there is some flavor of social responsibility in what you're doing. It is not so much about setting up dairy product manufacturing. It is more about agricultural tourism and setting up agricultural tourist business and scaling this project up through the franchising into other areas. Because why am I interested in that? Because our rural sector is very underdeveloped. It is in fact still on the level of the end of the 19th century. There's no jobs there. The agricultural businesses are closing down. People are in depression. They can't find a job. So we have all that in our rural sector. And even moreover, there is a lot of cases when people are earning good salaries in villages, but then people start harvesting agricultural products in high season. But even if you earn this money in the rural sector or in the village, there is no way to spend this money there. There's no entertainment centers, or there is no pharmacies, there's no malls. In fact, there is a complete lack of infrastructure in the rural sector. So I believe that if you set up this infrastructure, and if you're doing it on your own account, and if you are providing jobs to people, and by doing so, you're showing them a completely different level of life. But let's get back to my question. And my question is, which part... Well, actually, it's not the first time I'm seeing you or meeting you at some events. You are a very active, media active person. So what is your primary objective? Are you focused on earning your margin through the agricultural tourist business, or through promoting and selling your own products directly to your customers, or through Lukoil refueling stations? So can you tell me what is your focus, business focus? Well, thanks you for your question. It's a very good one. But our projects like our project helps to rebuild rural infrastructure. So we had 5 hectares, and within 4 years we have renewed these 5 sectors. So people from nearby villages come to our training center, they come to our playgrounds, we set up events for them there. So there is some going in the region now. So I think we have struck a good idea. We have set up some sort of a family business which is not very financially intensive, and finally it provides you with some revenue. So here are some facts and figures. When we started in 2009, we invested 32 million rubles into our projects. Now we have recovered more than 80% of it. We have a project for contemporary agricultural tourist complex, and well, you invest 150 million rubles, you recover it within 5 days with 35% margin. So that's a perspective. So we started our business when we bought dairy products and agricultural products. Then we processed these products and sold it. Then when we started to ramp up our business, we added hotel to us, and we saw an increasing number of agricultural tourists. So 60% of our revenues now are generated from product sales, and 40% are generated by agricultural tourism. But the share of agricultural tourism is increasing. So at some point, there will be an equal share, and then you will be earning more from agricultural tourism, right? We are planning, our business plan dictates that we should have a 50-by-50 split. So you're very close to that now, yes. And many people are trying to scrutinize our project and ask us a question. So what is the peculiarity of what you are doing? And the peculiarity is that you need to create a vertically integrated agricultural and tourist complex that will have various centers of revenue generation. So that business has to be properly diversified, like our business, for example. From your website, I found out, and here is the print screen from the website. So your website reads that this is the first agricultural project of a complete cycle. But when I read these things, like first in Russia, I want to ask you a question whether in fact it is the first project in Russia, because I know that there was interest from many investors to these projects in 2005, for example. So in Kostromskaya area was a similar project, but it was more about hunting, shooting, and fishing that sort of tourist service. So I think you are not the first in this market. So why do you call yourself the first or the pioneer of the market? So it wasn't us who called us the pioneers. It is our customers who is saying that. But before us, in Russia, there's some ecological villages or some eco projects, but there was not a single one could match our project in terms of diversification. We currently maintain our own fields where we harvest crops to feed animals. We have dairy products processing facility. We have a hotel. We maintain all logistics and all supply chains, and we also maintain direct contacts with retail chains. So we had to act like farmers, we have to act like caterers because there is a restaurant and the hotel as well. So we brought these several pieces of business together, and now we see that it is working properly. Thank you. And the final thing, well, first and foremost, I think that this conversation can go on forever. And we have a question. It's more a topic for discussion, actually, not a question, because I represent an organization that has some space, a building in Moscow, and we have two mills, 60-ton capacity and 120-ton capacity. And we struggle with launching this project. Like Alexandra is saying, retailers are bending our arms and squeezing the margin down. We are ready to produce wheat flour, or we are ready to produce pasta, but we find it difficult. We find it extremely difficult to enter the retail chains. So even at the startup point, we had to stop production. Well, we haven't even started it yet. So, but I'm asking you if there is any way to help us. Because if you could, please. And you have this milling facility in Moscow. Yes, in Moscow, in Chaussee Enthusiastov area. Milling production in Moscow probably will not be profitable. It will be more profitable to rent this space. But we have already installed the milling equipment. I'm not an expert in flour production, but milling business is very low marginal business. So, and if you're not talking about producing flour for making croissants or for making special flour mixes, or in other words, high marginal products. So milling businesses will be profitable only when you are milling hundreds of thousands of tons of grains and you export it. Only then you'll be able to make money, because flour production is stagnating and has been stagnating for 10 years. So this business has got no business prospect. But anyway, we are ready to develop our production. We have facilities for that. I would recommend you the following thing. By the way, I agree with Nikolay. This is a highly competitive market, the milling business, and there are very many companies who do not abide by the rules. There are companies who are not paying taxes. There are companies who use improper raw materials, and they have an opportunity to dump prices. So we have the milling union operating here in Moscow. This is a federal union, which is quite old, and this is part of the International Industrial Academy, and it is currently headed by Mr. Budkov, and Nikolay will provide you with the contacts of this milling union, because you're in a very difficult situation. They will probably help you. I am from the city of Tver, from a vegetable growing farm, and I would like to ask a question to Victor. He's got extensive experiences in growing vegetables in greenhouses. Are there any prospects of making money on processing vegetables? And when processing, I do not mean washing them, packing them. I mean, is there any prospect of selling them in a boiled form, and whether there will be a demand for these products? And another question to our colleague from Great Britain. Do you sell boiled vegetables like boiled potatoes, carrots, or beetroot? And is there a demand in Europe for this type of products? We are exploring the feasibility of going into this market, and it accounts for 1% or 1.5% of our revenues. This is a very slowly growing market, a very sluggish one. I'm not sure why it is so sluggish, because if we take a look at our products, for example, beetroot spaghetti, or or ready-made vegetable salads. So those housewives who tried that, they're saying it's extremely tasty and they're not making them on their own. But the market is very, very small. It's a tiny market. And our Italian partners, 5 or 7 years ago, asked us if we want to produce ready-made soups. And I was inspired by this idea. I went to Italy, went to see the soup production. And Russian people love soups, actually. Look. And my neighbor is Roman Kartsev. He loves soups. He always invites me for a plate of soup. And normally when you have lunch, you would have a plate of soup. But I'm glad I haven't started this project. And my people told me, let's not be emotional and inspired about it. And we decided to put it on hold. But several multinationals went into this soup production sector. 2 companies opened up their companies here in Russia. They started producing soups, and they did not survive in the market. Somehow, Russian people like soups made by themselves. So I think there is no big market for these products. Probably it will develop in 5 or 7 years' time. It could be the case of wrong positioning of this product. If you eat them, it might as well be sold. Guy, also a question to you, same kind of question.
How our market has changed, because my business now, in terms of value, our prepared vegetable business is 25% of our business, and it's probably 10 or 12% in terms of volume. So it's a huge part of our business. Probably we're probably lazier where we live, so we're into more convenience. The gentleman asked, do people want the product boiled? No, we don't boil anything really, but we make it oven ready, and we even pack it now microwave ready. So if you don't actually have to open, the first time you open the packet is when you pour the packet onto your plate. And we've seen huge growth, and now also into the food service sector, into big chain restaurants. We're seeing less and less chain restaurants wanting to take vegetables in the raw form. Most of them are wanting to cut out the expenditure of a proper kitchen, and more or less have a kitchen in that restaurant being an assembly business, and asking us to actually prepare the vegetables for them. So I wouldn't, to Victor, I wouldn't give up the ghost, because I think it will happen. You know, my mum is 80, and she thinks that we're all crazy because we all buy these prepared vegetables, but it's a generation thing, and people move on. So you know, it's amazed me how much it has grown, and I think it will continue to grow.
Hello. Пожалуйста, ваш вопрос.
Good afternoon. My name is Taliya, and I come from Yelabuga, from Tatarstan. I have 9 hectares of land, and the land is empty. So my question was about growing salads. What do I need to do to start growing salads? And we have just last year we built a processing facility in Yelabuga. We have currently 6 farmers in Yelabuga and Ufa. It's like a special economic zone. You're welcome to contact us. I can sell this land if you're interested, actually. No, we are certainly not interested in it, but if you want to work with us, well, you're welcome. You're welcome. This is how young people work. They're just selling land at the conference session. It's a new generation of farmers.
I am the president of a young farmer association in Italy. I represent 18,000 under 40 years, and my mother association represented 250,000 farmers. So I don't want to make any question because it's very interesting. We can talk for hours, I guess, but it's important that I need to tell that in the chain, sometimes it's very long, so the price can grow, and for vegetables, for example, or for olive oil, or for wine, or for other stuff, because we have intermediates, because sometimes the state doesn't talk to the farmers directly. I know that you have friends and you talk directly, but it's a particular case because sometimes the great distribution talks to someone that talks to other one, and they make 3, 4, 7 people, so the price grows in a way that is not good for farmers and it's not good for consumers. What can I say? I can say that I make my association. I put my association on the table, if you want, because next Jack will be in Milan next year, and we also have the expo. The expo, it's about food, it's about sustainability, and we are trying to organize a congress and workshops about how to make the chain shorter and the producing product of quality, organic, for example. I have a lot of organic farmers, organic producers, and this is what I'm doing. I'm just trying to say, okay, we are here, we represent a large part of the Italian farmers, and if you want, we can talk and try to organize something in the next year, if you want. Okay, thank you, just that.
Thank you very much for very constructive comment, and we have still time for approximately 2 questions, because in 4 minutes we are closing this roundtable discussion. Hello, I'm Ekaterina. I'm from Smolensk region, and my question is about this investment attractiveness of my region, because previously it was, during the Soviet period, it was focused on agriculture, especially on growing wheat and rye, and then the collective farms went bankrupt, and the municipalities have a lot of land plots, and still they don't know what to do with this, and this land has a ownership, and they have to pay land tax, but they don't grow much on it. And what is the investment attractiveness of our region, and is it promising for agriculture, and what shall be its specialization, whether we need to grow vegetables or cattle, and what will be your advice to our farmers and owners of the land or municipal authorities in order to develop agriculture in my region, or is it purposeful at all? And what will be your comment also, the development on the territory of Smolensk region, the production of lean, and we still have some factories which produce this, and I have never been in Smolensk region, and I can imagine what kind of linen, and I know this climate still, and then and you said flax is a promising culture, but you see, it is still a chain. to produce flax tissues or fabric like in the Netherlands. It is not that easy. And just to grow flax, it's not that good. And you need to have it to have some technology behind it. And but still, the competitive edge for these producers, for this business, will be great. And another thing is reps, and you have excellent conditions for it. And I know companies which have the very good, very good production of reps. And you will have, especially this high oil content ops, and then you need also some drying and sorting out equipment. That is not require big investments. And with the cooperation, it is also promising. And then the dairy product and cattle farms are promising. There. 400 kilometers, it's a limit for milk, and dry milk you can produce it, but still it is high tech, and this oil and butter and cheese. It's a good, but you have face competition with the Western countries. But for cattle, you have endless opportunities, and the federal authorities provide so-called long-term loans on these projects. So you have tremendous potentials, but it's always very hard to start. Well, we have to close because the time is limited, but you can come after the closing to our speakers. I just need to announce that at 7:30 there will be a third roundtable discussion, technology in agricultural business, and you are invited again. Thank you very much. A break time now.